Hey, welcome in, fans, to another episode of the Two Line Pass podcast. I'm Randon, here with me, Dustin and Ryan. We've got the homestand cooking. 5 out of 6 possible to start the homestand. Dustin, Ryan, welcome in today. How you feeling tonight?
I feel good.
I'm doing pretty good tonight. 5 out of 6 points is probably the best we could take, or the best we could hope for, considering who we are as a team. I wish we would have beat Columbus, but I'll take the overtime loss.
Yeah, 5 out of 6 is pretty good. You know what's actually funny? I want to lead the episode with this. So I was listening to the local radio station, and one of the things about the podcast, the lore of this podcast, is when they first announced the team, we recognized that the local media had not really paid attention to hockey much at all, right? They had no reason to. There's no team. The Grizzlies were in a place that they didn't garner much media attention. But I was listening to these guys talk. I won't say who it was, but they were talking about, okay, expectations for the homestand. What looks good for them? And over the 7 games, they were like, oh yeah, if we get 6 or 7 points, we're sitting pretty. And I was yelling out my window about how do they not realize we are fighting for our playoff lives, and 6 points in 7 games is not going to get it done. 7 points in 7 games is not going to get it done. So 5 out of 6 points is a pretty good start. To start the homestand, we beat a reeling Ottawa Senators team, and then beat the brakes off of the St. Louis Blues, and then lost a tough one the other night against the Columbus Blue Jackets. But like we said, 5 points out of 6. Great way to start. I said we needed to win 5 out of the 7. So far, we're 2 out of the 3. Looking pretty good. Your first take, Dustin, on the first 3 games of this 7-game homestand.
I mean, we played really well. I was stoked to see the fight. I mean, obviously just the fight to start the Blues game, where it's just puck drop and just McBain bringing overhead hammers, just bomb, 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 bomb. I was like, finally. How many times have we sat here talking about stick up for your team? When somebody crashes the net, you shove them out. Stick up for your goalie, stick up for your teammates, fight back. And I've seen a little bit more of that, and maybe it's just the fight that's kind of sticking out in my head, kind of swaying my opinion. But there does seem to be more of a we have to win these games type edge. You know what I mean? Just a little bit more want to. I'm not saying this to place any blame at the feet of Daniil Boot, but I think if he doesn't take that penalty, we probably win that game in overtime against Columbus. I mean, 4-on-3 it is hard to keep the puck out of the net when you're 4-on-3. There's not enough bodies on the ice, and they're going to wind up with a good shot. And that's all it was. They send a puck through the middle because there's not enough bodies to clear that out, and you get a redirect that VTech has no chance of stopping. But yeah, I think overall the team has played well. I like seeing Yams in the lineup. I hate that it took Kerfoot being injured for that to happen. And then hopefully they don't skate against Toronto the way they skated in practice today with O'Brien on the ice instead of Yamamoto. But we'll see. I'm trying. One of my New Year's resolutions is to be more positive. No more fire tyranny every episode. No more we suck. Positivity. I'm all about the positivity.
Taking away the positives. I like it. Ryan, you got any positives from the first 3 games of the homestand?
Tanev looked a lot better, especially in that first game. I don't know what Braden Shen was mad about. I really don't. I watched that hit It's sure, he doesn't clip him in the head at all. I don't know why he missed to it. You know what I mean? He didn't come near. I don't know why Shen was. Props to Tanev for looking him right in the eyes and being like, yeah, sure, I'll hit you. That's fine. The team has, like Dusty was saying, they have been a lot better of sticking up for each other. With winning it quick. McBain got in there real quick to grab quick, no pun intended. But a little bit inconsistent play through all the games. We haven't looked like a great team every game. Sure, we've had some big wins, but overall, it hasn't looked great. Losing to Columbus, that was just Boot took a bad penalty. You can chalk it up to him being a rookie. It's whatever. You got to move on from that one. But I would like to see just more consistency, especially getting later and later into the season. We can't just be mid right now. Mid will have you in the lottery this time of year. And with Anaheim falling out of position, out of the playoffs because they're on a fall, this should be our chance. It's Anaheim is legitimately falling from heaven. Just run up and take that spot. And yeah, we got some tough games coming up, but not impossible games. Like, I think this homestand was a good start, but we can't let this loss derail the good.
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the things that we've seen this team struggle with. And we talked about it, Dustin, you brought it up about this sort of habit of, winning two, losing two, win one, lose two, and struggling to get that streak going. And they get on their first 3-game win streak since the 7-game win streak and have a good chance against Columbus, who's on a back-to-back after getting shellacked by Colorado the night before, and we have a good chance to do it, and we just play really poorly from start to finish. And you gotta feel bad, at least I do, for Vitek Vanacek, who just cannot catch a break. He plays very, very well. He has in almost every start he's had since December. He's just played great, gets no run support, and just cannot get in the W. He's had some great games where his save percentage is as high as it can possibly be without getting the shutout, and he still can't get the win. He's doing everything he can, and the team can't play behind him. And another thing that we talk about in terms of consistency is this, like, trying to get the full effort from the team. Right now, over these 3 games, if you aren't on line one, you aren't doing anything. But if you are on line one, you are doing everything. I highly criticized Lawson Krause being on line one. It looks like I'm eating crow on that one because he is playing great on line one. Nick Schmaltz and Clayton Keller are playing great. Clayton Keller has 7 assists. He has more points than any of the bottom 9 combined in terms of points. He doesn't have any goals, but he is setting them up. And where's JJ Peterka gone, guys? 3 goals in his last 18 games. Is it just that he's on a line with Barrett Hayton, and maybe Barrett Hayton is as bad as the fans think he is? I don't know, but his goal scoring, it's non-existent over this past month. Like, I don't know where JJ went.
I do wonder, like, how much of that is JJ and how much of it is just how much shifting, like, lines 2 through 4 are doing. Like, I think we saw the way they skated today, like, Gunther was down on line 3, and it's just everything's just kind of like, this is moving here, let's move this guy here, let's move him up, let's move him down, and, like, we've talked about Bear being just throw it against the wall and see if it sticks. But, like, at this point, he's tried almost everything and it's just not working, especially with the bottom 6. Like, we're just getting almost nothing from the bottom 6, no matter who's there. So, like, maybe, like, okay, Gunther is really good at scoring, so maybe we can stick him down on line 3, and then we're getting production from our top 3 lines. I don't know, but it seems really weird to look at a team that we're getting almost no production from the bottom 6 at all. Where it seems like, was it last year where, like, we kept talking week after week about how we had the best, like, it was either 3rd line or 4th line in the entire league, and we can't get anything from the bottom 6 right now. So just, like, I want to criticize Bear for how much he's shifting things around, but at this point, like, we've tried it all and it's not working. So what is he supposed to do? Just keep trotting out the same bottom 6, bottom 9 and say, well, like, figure it out. Let's see if you can eventually, or do we need to make a move? I don't know what the answer is.
My question is, I knew Logan Cooley was important to the team. Was he the cornerstone to the whole team? Because since he's gone, all the lines have been shifting around and nothing's been consistent. And when he was there, he kind of solidified the top 6. Like, we knew who our top 6 were. Now, everyone's a top 6? Anyone? Or I guess anyone's a top 6? Not everyone. Let's say anyone can be a top 6. And, like, I don't see how that's going to be helpful. And I know it can't time his injury, but the rest of the team is not really. Clayton Keller stepped up, and maybe that's because Cooley went down. Maybe that's because of the Olympics. I'll take it. Whatever it is, Keller has stepped up. Schmaltz is playing fine. Krause playing great. But everybody else is not.
I'm looking it up because we talked about in terms of, like, center depth, which is obviously, like, every team in the NHL wants center. Centers at such a high premium right now. Well, Alexander Kerfoot goes down. He's probably not coming back until after the homestand. And so we look at, like, where can you move centers? You've got Nick Schmaltz playing center on line 1, and then maybe you could even talk about, like, trying to shift him to a winger. I'm still convinced if you put Schmaltz and Gunther together on a line, it's going to be good. But, like, I just don't see the personnel to make that happen. You're probably not going to play Rooney all that much. Maybe he sees a game, maybe, but that would be another thing to just kind of throw it out there and sees what sticks. But it seems like not just like the Logan Cooley injury like switches up everything, but now you've got Kerfoot, who's maybe your most versatile guy on the team right now. He's out, and so that really limits it. And we have been very critical of Andre Turney, but I feel like at this point, like you kind of got a feel for him because just when he thinks he's got a groove, he gets these injuries that like I'm not even sure where they come from, but they just kind of happen, and he's got to address them. And it really, I think, limits his ability to put his best lines forward without the help. I don't want to use that as an excuse. We talk about it a lot. Like you can't let the injuries be an excuse to keep him if he's not working. And so the question is, if he was fully healthy, would these lines be working? Would he have when Keller or when Cooley went down, I think we saw a stretch of games that was the most consistent lines Turney has ever done, where he just didn't make any changes for like 7 or 8 games. And I don't know if we're going to see that again for the rest of the year, if he, even when Cooley comes back, if he can find that consistency. But yeah, injuries just plaguing the team in terms of their ability to field things and see what turns out. And who do you have to turn to outside of a trade? I don't know. I don't see an NHL or AHL guys coming in and making a huge difference to this lineup.
And Rooney has played in 1 game and scored 1 goal, and he's a goal per game. So we've got a lot of people on our bottom 6 who are nowhere close to that. So throw them out there. Like you're getting no production. So what's the like? Oh no, you can't lose from no production. So throw it at the wall, see if it sticks.
I was gonna say, what's Boot doing compared to Rooney? Like, why has Boot been playing in every game over Yamamoto, which is crazy to me. I know rookies need a chance, but like he's not really doing much.
So this is one thing. Like I was critical of Daniil Boot when he came in, mostly because they put him on line 2 and they have him playing on the power play, and he just hasn't panned out. But he's young, and this is the question of this team: is when you've got youth, especially if you look at our pipeline, and if you're trying to decide when those guys in our pipeline have a chance, it's like, at what point do you say I have to play my best regardless of what the future is going to be? Like, are we playing Daniil Boot now because we wanted to have the experience, so in 3 and 4 years, like, he is an integral part of the team? Or are we playing him now because he's the best person available? And I don't think that's the case. I just don't know if Daniil Boot is the best available option. He's got glimpses, but I'll tell you, you know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of what is it, a Geico commercial with the fisherman and with the dollar on the fishing pole? And he's like, "Oh, you almost had it. You gotta be quicker." Like, that's kind of what I feel like. We're all just waiting, like, "Oh, he's so close. Oh, he's so close. He's gonna get it. He's gonna get it." And then he just doesn't get it. Like, yeah, he's a physical player, and he's the type of player you want, but is the type of player you need right now. And I don't know. I don't know that the team is significantly better with him on the ice.
Yeah, we seem to be kind of like, I don't know if like stuck between a rock and a hard place is like the best term for it, but like as of right now, Yamamoto is a better NHL player than Daniil Boot. He's got more goals, more assists. His plus minus is better. Like, he's taken the same amount of penalties in like 9 or 10 fewer games. More games, I should say. But like, he's just a better all-around NHL player. So if you want to win, you play Yamamoto instead of Daniil Boot. But then like Daniil Boot isn't getting any ice time. So do you send him back down to the AHL where he's just kind of going to do his thing again? I feel kind of like that's what we did with Josh Doan last year, right? Like, call him up. He's kind of doing what Daniil Boot is. Like, there's potential, but it's just not kind of clicking. Then send him back and then bring him back. And that's kind of like when things clicked a little bit. But yeah, it kind of seems like we're stuck in between this, like, do we play the player who gives us a better chance to win in Yams, or do we play the player that we think is a bigger piece of our future in Cheeks? And like, it's just like, What do you choose there? I believe right now, because you're trying to win and get into a wild card spot, you play the player who gives you a better chance to win, which is Yamamoto. If we do like slip and things are starting to fall apart, okay, then put Boot out there and get him ice time, get him experience. But as of right now, I would rather see Yamamoto on the ice.
Man, I would kill to have Josh Down back. He is killing it in Buffalo this year.
But that's not necessarily, I was thinking about that, like, we're talking about Josh Stone last year. Like, Dustin, you hit the nail on the head there. Like, early season Josh Stone was not great. It was only when he came back from his AHL stint that we're like, yes, that's the Josh Stone. But that's the Josh Stone that you needed to make a JJ Peterka trade work. And he's doing great for Buffalo. You love to see it. You never want to see a guy, not do good. So I'm happy for him. But it's the same kind of thing. It's like, we didn't get that Josh Stone all year, right? He's a different player this year than he was last year.
Because he's getting consistent ice time in Buffalo.
Yeah. Maybe that's just the way that you go about bringing up some of these youthful guys. Like, have them play in the AHL. Have them kind of assert their dominance as an NHL level and caliber player playing in the AHL. Bring them up, let them kind of experience how much faster the game is, how much better, crisper the passing is, like how much more kind of like on your game you have to be, how much better and how much more perfect everything that you do has to be. And then like it doesn't kind of go your way because you're no longer one of the better skaters on the ice. So you maybe lose a little bit of confidence. Then you go down to the AHL, and since you've been playing in the NHL where everything's faster, everything just comes that much easier. You go back down to the AHL, just completely dominate the way that you should. It brings your confidence back. Then when you come back up for the second time, now you know how fast it is. Now you know how everything has to be. Now you know how crisp the game is. And you have your confidence back. Like maybe that's just the key to building an AHL player into an NHL player is up, back down, then back up. Like maybe that's just the process. Let's do that.
What I think is interesting is about how much shorter a relative leash the defenseman's had than Daniil But is getting. So, I mean, I obviously said that Dmitry Shumishev probably played a few too many games at the NHL level going down. But like if you were looking towards like projecting for the future, kind of like what we're talking about with Daniil But, like D. Simone gives you a better chance to win when he's on your defensive roster. But is that worth the development minutes that Simashev is getting? And the argument is that it's better to have Simashev get top pairing defensive minutes in the AHL than third pairing defensive minutes in the NHL. But Daniil But's not getting that argument. It's not like it's saying that the Daniil But's limited minutes in the NHL is more valuable than his top line minutes in the AHL. And that's what I think is interesting, is it just simply because of our defensive depth and we maybe don't have that type of forward depth, that's where the distinction is made? Or why not make that same argument for Daniil But to you should be getting top line minutes in the AHL versus bottom 6 minutes in the NHL? Does that make sense? How much ice time is he getting?
Daniil But is getting 12:42 per game.
How is that useful to anybody? Like, how is 12, that's 3 minutes or 4 minutes a period out of 20. How are you being useful to the team 4 minutes a period? Especially when you have 1 point, right?
Right.
He's got 1 point.
I think he's got 4 points, right?
Oh, he's got
2 goals, 2
Dylan
assists.
Gunther's at 17. He's getting like 5.5 minutes per period.
It's crazy. Like, I don't know. I feel like I would rather, I feel like I was having more fun watching Simashev get better than I was watching Boot just lose all of his confidence. And sure, he's going to the net hard, but like, I don't know. It doesn't really seem to be making a presence on the ice.
If you extrapolated his points, if he played a full 82, he'd have just under 20 points. Right, for a third liner, that's probably not what you need.
Good enough. That's just not going to be. What is he? 20 years old? 21?
He's only 19. That's the best part, right?
Okay,
he's only 19 years old.
Send him back to the fucking A.
He does
send him
fix to be a big part of the team. But I guess that's like philosophically is like, is this team trying their hardest to make the playoffs. And is that the goal? Because right now, like, you're kind of caught into purgatory, right? And it's going to be the case where it's like, you may not be in the bottom 10 of the league and getting that potential first overall, but then you're not in the playoffs and you're like right in that like 16,
The
15
worst spot
range.
to be in.
Yeah, where even if you win the lottery, your best bet is a 4th overall, 5th overall, just like we were last year. Now, it kind of worked out, and in this year's draft, that's would be good. But what if you don't win the lottery? And what if you draft 14 overall, 15 overall, 16th overall? Like, that's not great. Even with a deep draft, like, that's not great. I think you would almost rather at that point trade away that draft pick and try to get an integral piece. But go with me on this one, guys. I think right now our most tradable asset outside of Nick Schmaltz is Sean Durzi. I think Sean Durzi is a guy who's capable of playing top pairing defensive minutes on a lot of teams, and maybe you get something good for him. But that's if we're looking to sell, that's a guy who clears cap space and adds the most value versus like a guy who's not costing us a lot of cap space but doesn't get a lot of return value. So you're looking at basically Durzi and Schmaltz. If you're gonna do a fire sale, I think those are two guys that you're looking at. But with the way Schmaltz is playing in the center position, which I was not a believer that he could do, but he has done very well, like, is there urgency to re-sign him and try to get him between 7 and 8 million, which I think would be great for him for 5 to 7 years at $7 million. Like, that would be great for the team. That's right about what Sean Durzi's making. And I've been pretty critical of Sean Durzi's defensive abilities. His offensive abilities are great. Like, he's an offensive defenseman. So is there value in that? Which I think there is. I think a lot of teams are going that way. But he does have a lot of defensive liabilities. But if we're looking to sell the farm, you might see Durzi's name come up in a lot of conversations for potential trying to get value back. But if not, like, I just don't know how this team gets over the hump and what mindset mentality has to be in. Is like, are we going for the playoffs all in, full focus, or are we just, the playoffs would be a nice luxury if we get there? And I just don't know.
It almost feels like we're kind of waiting for the young kids like Lamoureux, Boot, and Simashev to get to their full potential, like to get ready to come to the NHL fully, while we have Peterka, Cooley, and Gunther locked up long term. We have time to wait for them. And it's like, yeah, you could do that, but like, why? You have NHL ready guys who can win hockey games. Clearly, do something with it. Like, why do we need to wait? Like, it's nice to have them in a couple years. Do something now. Fuck your prospect. What are they doing for me now?
I've brought this up a handful of times before, but I will do it again. Like, it is incredibly important for young teams like this to experience what hockey is like in the playoffs. Like, it doesn't matter what sport it is. You have to get a taste of what a playoff atmosphere is in your sport. Like, it is a different game. It is played at a different, intensity. You're scouting the same team for 4, 5, 6, 7 games in a row. They're better at scouting. Like, they're responding to what you're doing better, so you have to adjust more often. Like, it is a completely different game. And like, you have to make the playoffs. Like, we have a young core. We have prospects coming up that we believe in, I would assume, as a franchise. But you have to get a taste of what it's like in the playoffs, or else like you're going to lose an entire year when you do, because the odds of like making the playoffs for your first time and then making a run, they're not great. Like, that's more than likely not what's going to happen. So the first time you make the playoffs is kind of like, I don't want to say a throwaway year, but it's not a year where you're actually going to compete for the cup. So like, just play the guys who give you the best chance to make the playoffs, to claim one of those wildcard spots. Play them, get into the playoffs, get your core that experience, and then bring the prospects along the way. Just do what you can to make the playoffs. We have to make. We've said this since last year. Like, we have to make the playoffs this year, and I don't think that has changed.
I mean, Bill Armstrong has went out of his way the last 2 seasons in free agency to sign guys off of Florida, essentially, because they've won the last 2 cups. but he's been just snatching guys with Stanley Cup rings and experience. For what? Do something. Like, why did you bring them over to not make the playoffs? Figure it out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure Nate Schmidt doesn't want to go from winning a cup to sitting at home, and he does, sitting at home. That's lame. But, like, I don't know. I feel like this team has what it takes to be better, but something isn't clicking. It's the coach.
I wonder, Dustin, too, is like, maybe I'm being overly pessimistic in terms of like, it's like the fans want the young players next season, and maybe management doesn't. Maybe management is willing to stagger them out and it won't be a full youth movement. And Dustin, maybe you could answer this for me, because I haven't been paying attention, and it's probably not what I think it is. Because in my mind, the Jazz have been in tank and rebuild mode for like the past 5 years. And that's all I've known of the Jazz. Like, I can't remember the last time the Jazz tried in a season. Like, was it when they had, what's his name? The point guard who now plays for
Donovan
the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yeah. Was it the Donovan Rudy years? Like, and how long ago was that since the Jazz were competitive? Do you remember?
It's been about 5 years. Like, let me just quickly go back, and like they were 49-33 with Mitchell and Gobert in the 21-22 season, and I think it was the 2021 season, which was COVID shortened. They only played like 72 games, but the Jazz had the best record in the NBA that year, right? They went in the playoffs as the number 1 overall seed. They wound up losing in the playoffs, but like they had that season, and then they had one more season, the 21-22 season, and then they blew it up. Like, they went from having the best team in the NBA to blowing it up 2 years later, and now they're kind of stuck in that purgatory that we're talking about, where they're in 12th place in the West, so they're like 3 games out of the play-in tournament before the playoffs, like the 10 seed, and then they're the 8th worst team in the NBA, so they're not down low enough to where they can get a high draft pick, barring moving up in the lottery, which is something the Jazz have never done in the history of the NBA. They've never moved up, and but they keep winning. Like, they beat Cleveland tonight. Like, they keep winning too much. They're not an actual threat to go win anything. They're not losing enough to get a draft pick like they should have last year. But yeah, they're kind of stuck in the purgatory that we're afraid of for the Mammoth.
And it's easier for the NBA due to the shortened rosters to to rest all your guys and to soft tank, hard tank, all that. It's harder to do that in the NHL. And so it's like, that's the tough thing. I just don't want to see the Mammoth go into that full youth movement mode where we're talking about it. We talk about it a lot in terms of literally, are we just waiting for these guys to get young? And are we really not even going to make the playoffs for another 3, 4, 5 years? And then we're talking about all these things. I guess I just am struggling to see the plan, the long-term plan. GM Bill Armstrong is kind of just saying he likes where we're at. We're 60% of the way through, but this is a playoff roster. If this roster doesn't make the playoffs, are you going to say next year's roster is a playoff roster? When does it end versus because we're not you can't go full rebuild because technically you've already got all the foundational pieces and you're just waiting. And so it's what is the plan? Full youth movement and grow? Or is it to stagger these guys in over the next 2 to 3 years? And are we just waiting for Michael Vrabel to come of age and lead us to the Stanley Cup as a rookie, and we're going to get a rookie goaltender winning the Conn Smythe, and it's going to be glorious? Because that's kind of what I'm waiting for, but I still think he's 2 years off. So I don't know. It's just it's tough to see.
I was just gonna say, I almost feel like we just moved the Coyotes organization and we changed the paint and we put in an air freshener, and we were like, look, it's a new car, and we as the fan base have to be like, yes, that's a new car, when we all know it's still a 94 Honda Civic. I don't know. I don't get what the plan is. What is the plan, Mr. Bill Armstrong? You guys aren't being very open about this. And I know I'm not a shareholder. I don't deserve this information for free, but it would be nice to keep me in the loop. I watch every game. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck, man?
Would it kill you to call the podcast GM Bill Armstrong?
Come on.
Maybe we'll just call him.
Send a
Maybe we'll just
text.
call him. We haven't asked. We have not asked him to be on the show.
You know how you can call governor, like the governor of your state? Can you call the governor of your hockey team and be like, look, you have to take my call as my elected official? You have to listen to me. What's that football team? Is it the Packers that the fans own? Yeah. Why can't we do that? Should we buy out?
I'm gonna just reach out. I'll reach out to the communications.
Hit him up on Twitter.
And I'll just ask.
Fuck it.
I'll just
hit him up on Twitter.
So.
What's he gonna do? I bet he is. I bet your top dollar he is on Twitter. You can get a hold of his son or somebody.
No, we'll get him on the show. We'll get him on. We'll get GM next time. We'll get him next time. You know what's coming up though, right around the corner, guys. A few months from now is the Family Cup series making its way back. So start thinking about it. If you want to be on this podcast on the Family Cup, reach out. We'll officially start that when the playoffs start. So, but we had a lot of fun with that. But looking ahead, you know what we can see? If we struggle to see the long-term picture, we can see the short-term picture. And the short-term picture is the easier part of the homestand is complete. And now we get into the slightly tougher part of the homestand. We got our next 3 games before we're in studio again. We've got the Toronto Maple Leafs coming to town. We've got the Dallas Stars coming to town. We've got the Seattle Kraken coming to town. And then after, we've got the Philadelphia Flyers coming to town. But we'll talk about these 3 games. The Maple Leafs looked like they were just horrible, awful, terrible, weren't even going to make the playoffs. Now they're out of the playoffs in the East, but the East is as competitive as it gets, right? Like, I feel like any day of the week, any team in the East could be the best team in the East. The Toronto Maple Leafs have more points than the Utah Mammoth. The Maple Leafs would be in the playoffs if they were in the Western Conference. And then you've got the Dallas Stars, who are the second best team in the West, arguably the second best team in the league. And then you've got the Seattle Kraken, who are back in action. They traded Marchment, and now they're back as the Seattle Kraken that were fighting for it. So you've got 3 playoff teams, technically, if you consider the Maple Leafs a playoff team, coming to town. What do we want to see out of these next 3 games? Is 1 and 2 the best we can hope for in this 3-game stretch?
The hope is 2 and 1. The real dream is you get a 3-game sweep and we just go on a roll. I don't feel like Toronto is one of those teams where, like, yeah, they're hot right now. Are they going to keep it going? Can they keep it going? How's Austin? What is it? It's like 7 games he's been hot. That's about his limit. I feel like he's about to, he's going to go down. Something's going to happen. Wrist, shoulder. I can feel it. And then with Dallas, that's a tough one. But Seattle is one of those teams, like, if we want to be a playoff team, Dallas is one of those teams you're going to have to probably eventually meet. But Seattle is a team you have to beat to get to the playoffs. And so that's a team we have to beat. And I feel like we could do that, especially at home. We seem like we're a lot better at home. I'm not necessarily counting us out of this 3 games. It'll be a tougher 3 games, like you were saying, but not the toughest 3 games it could be. Because we usually play Dallas okay, right? Like, not necessarily great, but we're not like, we don't ever get blown out by Dallas. And who gives a fuck about Toronto? I don't believe in their team at all. Like you were saying in the East, any team can get hot for a week and bam, all of a sudden you're the best team in the East. All it takes is one thing to go wrong in Toronto and, back to where they were. But I could also eat crow and Toronto could blow us the fuck out. I don't know. But I feel like 2 and 1 is what we need to aim for, not 1 and 2. Get either Toronto or Dallas. Don't let them both get you. And then you gotta get Seattle.
No, I don't know if this got mentioned. I don't know if Randon mentioned this at all. But like right now, as we're recording this, Toronto is going through the meat grinder that is known as the Colorado Avalanche. So they're coming here after probably taking a beatdown from the most ruthless team in the goddamn league right now. So, and we're going to be fresh, having not skated today. Well, not played today. They skated today. But like just the team hasn't left their own beds in like a week and a half or something like that. Like they're home, they're refreshed, they're not playing. Toronto's going through a grinder right now. Like that's gonna impact tomorrow's game. So Utah's gonna win that one. They're gonna win. They're gonna beat Seattle because I'm gonna be there. So all we need to do is hope that we can steal one from Dallas. Even if you just get a point. I'm at a point now where it's like you either win or you get a point. Like that's what I want from this point on. Just get a point. hopefully beat them, because I don't want to look back at the season yet again angry that I am now a Mammoth fan instead of a Stars fan anymore. So just beat them for my sake. 3-0, baby.
I'll tell
Man,
you,
an 8 p.m. game against Colorado and then having to fly into Utah with the inversion we have right now. Oh, boy. Oh, Toronto's not going to be able to breathe tomorrow. We got that one. Matty Nyes is going to be their only option.
well, Columbus was on a back-to-back, and it didn't work. It worked for us. So
You shut your dirty mouth. We got a point out of it.
we did get a point out of it. And can you imagine, like, so I said we needed to go 5-2, right? I thought that was 5 wins, 2 legit losses. If we go 5-0-2 and you get points in all 7 games with 5 wins, like,
I'm back
that
on the
is
hype. I'm back. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a dream scenario. We're going to the playoffs. We're going to make a run. We're going to get the first wild card seed. So we're going to play the Golden Knights. We're going to stun the Golden Knights in the first round. And it's going to be glorious.
Have a
And
goalie.
then we
It
can
won't even
start
be
planning
hard.
the parade in 2 years.
I'm so pissed off right now because I was like, wait, see, my point was that they're playing Colorado tonight and then they get us on a back-to-back. You bring up that Columbus is on a back-to-back, but they were playing Colorado. Shit.
Yep.
My point
History
Columbus is
completely out the window.
Look, it's
Just
okay.
like-
It's okay. I believe Columbus is a better hockey team on a back-to-back than Toronto ever will be. Those fashion divas don't know how to play a back-to-back. Columbus
We're
is a bunch
not
of blue-collar,
losing.
hard-working men who we had a good game against Columbus.
I tell you, it was a 3-goal third period. I do believe there was an empty net in there as well. So 3 goals to lose to them. The Dallas Stars, when they beat us earlier in the season, they scored 3 goals in the second period. And then we beat the Seattle Kraken in our only meeting with them. So if we can split the season series with Toronto, it's going to be great. Here's my one concern is we tend to win games when our power play is clicking. Toronto has the second best penalty kill in the league right now at 85.3%. And the Utah Mammoth have the 29th best power play at 15.7, which is 29th best is also known as third worst, just for those keeping score at home. 29th best is third worst. And so you're going to look at that special teams. Yeah, the 29th best sounds better for sure. But
I just want to clarify. Did you say things go better for Utah when the power play is clicking?
yes.
Has there been a point in this season where the power play has been clicking?
Fair question. I didn't think about that until he just said that. But yeah, when the fuck did we get ice cream?
Okay.
That is that's such a good poll. I love that. That's so good.
But I'll tell you when we got ice cream, Ryan. We get ice cream in games. We can't have it over the whole season, but we get it in games, as you would expect.
It's just a sweet treat.
Okay. So
we
it's
just
like
get it
we
as a
have-
sweet treat.
We have
Yay.
an occasional game
That's
where we go
gay.
like 2 for 3 and power
Yes.
play's clicking.
Well, let me tell you this. As you might expect, when we have a 33% power play or better, we've only lost 1 game this season. 33% or better in the game means a win. 1-3, that's all you need to do to get the win. 1-3.
I have to know how many games that is, because it is entirely possible that we've only been above 33% once and we lost that game.
He's only at 2 fingers. He only held
Ted,
up 2
Ted.
fingers for those of you
No,
listening.
okay, so
we're
he
not
only held
counting.
up 2 fingers.
We're 9-1. We're 9-1
times.
above when it's above 35%.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
that sounds a lot better than we've only lost once, because that doesn't tell us how many games that is.
a whole slew of losses when we're 25% or lower. A whole slew of losses. But
You'd think
a couple
special
of-
teams we would be better at. Like, that's...
I mean, the power play's been hampering us, right? It's been hamstringing us all season. We have a better power play. We are well in the wild card, and this isn't even an argument. We're talking about maybe is the 3 seed within striking distance. That's the conversation we're having if we had a legitimate power play unit. The fact that our power play coach is still employed is a bigger affront to us as fans as Turney being employed.
Yeah.
You know what's so funny? Columbus just fired their head coach and their assistant coach. After they won, they beat the Mammoth, and they still fired their head coach.
Yeah, tough
That's
break.
a team
the
that's
team
serious,
that won
guys.
fired their coach. The team that lost is still hanging on to theirs.
That's
what
a team that's
blackmail
serious.
does Turney have on GMBA? I want to know. It's got to be the same level that Rob Dyrdek had over MTV getting ridiculous play or ridiculousness for like 38 seasons. Same level of blackmail.
And not just 38 seasons, like wall-to-wall, 24-hour, one after another coverage. Just like, this is all we show on MTV now.
I was going to say MTV2 pretty much just turned into, hey, this is ridiculousness. This is all it is. And Teen Mom.
Man, like, thinking about where... I don't know if this was you or if you were too young for this and this was like Randon and my time, but like the parental control and like
I remember parental control.
All the different like dating shows that they had
the
on
one
MTV
with the bus
and like
where like
Pimp
the
My
guy where the people
Ride
would get off the bus
like,
and she'd be like, get the fuck away from me, you creep. And he'd be like,
Yeah,
all right, back on the fucking bus.
and now it's just like, fuck it, ridiculousness 24/7. It's like when FX does that every Simpsons episode ever, just one after another, but that's just
For like a
all
week
they
and a
do,
half. Yeah, those are
365.
fun.
Well, I want my MTV. I want my MTV. And I want my power play units.
I want my MTV.
Hey, we're better than Colorado on the power play, so...
It's not even that Turney's still our coach. It's that I am so concerned about heading into next year if he just
With
has
Turney
next
still
year
our
left
coach.
on his contract. I just don't see how that's going to work. You either extend him or you fire him after this season. I just
If they
don't see how
extend
it works.
Turney, I'm bashing my head against a goat. I'm going to go to a farm, I'm going to find a goat, I'm going to piss that goat off, and I'm going to headbutt that goat.
If you extend him, you go full
I'm
youth
out.
movement.
Yeah,
you
I'm
bring
out.
everybody
Yeah,
in.
I'm out.
You bring
Even
everybody
then, I'm
in.
out.
You sell anything that's not nailed down, and you bring all the young guys in. And we just suck for a couple of years, but then you bring in a coach that can capitalize on Turney's development. Because that has to be the plan now.
But who's the coach in waiting? That's the question. Because, like, who's available other than Pete DeBoer? And Pete DeBoer has already made it very clear he is very happy with his, like, semi-retirement of just hanging out and doing Team Canada. And then he's just waiting for, I'm assuming, a $10 million job. But other than that, what are we getting? Who's available? Scott
Ryan
Arniel
Smith,
from Winnipeg?
Ryan Smith, you gave $5 million to AJ Demancin just to rent him for 1 year for BYU. You can give $10 million to a coach.
You can.
You
It's
gave
your
fucking
moneymaker.
Tuna $3 million to lose every fight and slowly but surely have a fan base turn on him faster than tuna in an unplugged fridge.
Well, here's the funny thing about NHL coaches. If you're out there, you haven't paid attention to the league very often. Like the NHL coaching turnover, it's about as bad as
It's
college
crazy.
football. Not
It's
quite
bad.
as bad, but there is a lot of head coach turnover in the NHL. And so, for example, Columbus just fired their head coach, and their replacement was Winnipeg's head coach that Winnipeg fired last season. So it's like you've got these guys that just don't work out, and if you're looking at it, you're just like wins and losses. You're like, well, this guy sucks. How's he going to make our team better? But sometimes that happens. Boston
Look at
fires
Paul
their
Maurice.
head coach. Well, Paul Maurice is
I was going to say
example,
Winnipeg
but look at-
fired Paul Maurice, and then he went to Florida and he won him 2 Stanley Cups. Sometimes it
and
kind of works.
Look at Bruce Cassidy, gets fired from Boston, gets picked up from Vegas, and they win the cup with him. Like, that's the kind of thing that happens, is these head coaches get fired from one team because it didn't work out, and you're like, well, he must be bad. But then he gets hired by another NHL coach, and it just works there. Like, but that's the type of coach you want, like, that can make it work with any personnel you have. And, like, is that Turney? Hopefully. Like, I don't want the guy to be without a job forever, right? But I want him to be able to utilize the personnel he has to the best of his ability. And maybe at some point, guys, we're talking about Turney hamstringing his players. Is Turney being hamstrung by the GM? Does he want to do things that he's not able to do? I don't know. We should ask. It's probably not the case, but maybe we should ask. Maybe we should get Turney on the podcast and just ask him the questions that the media won't.
Here's my question with Turney, is does he still have the locker room? Because I don't feel like he does. Kind of like I feel like Scott Arniel in Winnipeg. I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with the Winnipeg fucking drama and the scandal. He lost the room completely when he benched Luke Shen before his 11th game against Toronto. Like, I'm not saying Turney has done anything crazy like that to lose the team, but at what point? Because, like, I don't know. His system doesn't seem to be working, and they all kind of seem defeated. Like, none of them look like they're having fun, even when they're winning. It doesn't look like everybody's having a good time. And it's like, if your coach doesn't have the room, can they win for him? And I don't know, Randon, as a NHL vet fan, we've both seen what happens. Some teams, you find the next coach, they just want to play better because they're like, fuck. Look at Buffalo. They got their GM finally fired, and they went on an absolute tear. You feel bad when it happens because you just got a guy fired. Nobody wants that. I don't want Turney to be fired because I don't like him as a person. I don't know him as a person. He's probably a very nice man. Like, he seems like a good guy. It's just he's not working out as the coach. Like, the system he wants to do doesn't work with the players Bill Armstrong has given him. And that's nothing necessarily against him. It's just maybe this isn't what Turney was supposed to coach. Maybe he's supposed to be an AHL coach. Develop guys, bring them to the NHL. That's just as fucking important if you ask me. You know what I mean? Like, you need a coach like that. But when it's not working, you got to look at all your options. And if it is a contract, like one more and let him ride out into the sunset, fuck that. I know you don't want to hurt his feelings, but the team deserves better.
Yeah, how many times have we heard guys like Nate Schmidt, guys that have been on high level winning like Stanley Cup teams, talking about like when you're in these playoff pushes and you're fighting for a wild card spot, you have to go every period. You have to play with more intensity. You have to go after loose pucks. You have to hit. You have to do this. You have to do that. Like, we've heard it multiple times from the leaders like that, the guys that you brought in for that specific purpose, like who have won cups, that know what it takes to push these guys. And these guys are saying it in like post-game press conferences, saying like, you got to play a little bit harder. You got to push a little bit harder when you're in these pushes. Like, and maybe the team's just not getting that from Tierney in the locker room. And it's just like, there's only so much a players can do if the coach isn't saying it also.
Like, how much of a player's coach is he? Because that seems to kind of be what you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't ever seem to be hard on guys. The hardest we've seen him be on guys is, you'll see. And what the fuck did we see? We didn't see shit, dude. You didn't do anything. You're like every fucking dad who has a daughter. You talk a big fucking game in front of people. You don't do shit to her. She's your little princess. You're not going to do anything to him. Like, fucking light a fire under some. Bench Keller for a game. Really shake some shit up. You know what I mean? Like, get the boys back. I don't know if that would work. But also, what Dustin was saying, the guys who have won the Stanley Cups, notice that other than Kevin Stenlund, I feel like he just won a Stanley Cup because he was Florida's fourth-line center. The more he has not played in Florida, maybe it's just this year, Stenlund has sucked, and I have not been impressed with his game. But like Nate Schmidt, Ian Cole, the guys who have won a cup, they're doing it every game. No one can ever say Nate Schmidt isn't trying. I'll fight whoever the fuck wants to try to make that art. That guy tries every shift he is out there, and it kind of sucks when he's got to be the new guy in town doing that when, I don't know, not saying Jack McBain is bad, but he's not always on his game. Some games, like against St. Louis, McBain is on fire, and he's doing everything. And then other games, him and Krause are non-existent. Him and Carcone are non-existent. And I don't know if that's something a coach can really like light back into him. But when the experienced winners and the new guys seem to be the hardest trying ones on the team, that's got to be an issue.
Yeah, we just saw like I cannot remember. It was within this last week, but we saw Schmidt like on the ice, spread out to stop a cross from one circle to the other, and he's on the ice. You need that type of effort from everybody with skates on their feet if you're going to make the playoffs. You need that from everybody.
You know, here's the one thing I will say about if he's lost the locker room, it would be because of messaging. And I think back to, let's look at the pre-game comments he made heading into the Columbus Blue Jackets about how his team was playing confident. Their mindset was confidence. Their mentality was confidence. They were playing with confidence. It's all confidence, 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 confidence. They lose to Columbus. And then in his post-game press conference, what does he say? It wasn't effort. It wasn't execution. It was mindset. So what happened to the confidence, Turney? Like, what happened to your confident team? They just lost it? Like, you're saying, oh no, they executed well. They played well. They just didn't have the confident mindset. You just said they had the confident mindset going into the game. And then all you then say is, it's a learning opportunity. There's things to learn. Every single game, we're going to learn something. I don't know that they have. Like, are you learning anything? I wish one of the reporters would just simply ask, what's the learning exercise from this? What did you learn from this? And he'll probably just say, we got to learn to win. Their mentality has to be to win. Like, at some point, I know they're professionals, but as a coach, it is your job to teach them. And if after every single game, you're saying they've got to learn to win, they've got to learn to win, you're not teaching them. And then you need to go. That's all I'll say about Turney. Otherwise, good on you. Keep winning. One game, obviously, if you win, you're not going to get fired. One game, you shouldn't get fired. But you know our opinions of it out there, the masses. We've talked enough about it. My opinion on him is not going to change, even if we make the playoffs.
I don't think we make the playoffs with him as a coach. Not to be that guy, but like the system he's coaching this team to, he can say this is him, and Bill Armstrong both can confidently lie to all of us with bold faces and say this is a playoff roster. Sure, it can get to the playoffs. It's not winning in the playoffs. Sorry, we're going to get ragdolled in a 7-game series with Colorado, or with Colorado, Dallas, or Minnesota, or Vegas. We're getting ragdolled. Hands down, this team is not built for that. And I don't know if Turney knows that, or if he doesn't realize that, or if he can coach another way.
We'll win one game. We won't get swept.
We're going to win 2 out of 3.
We make the playoffs with Turney if he fires his special teams power play coach.
Probably yes.
Yeah,
Any change
do
whatsoever.
something. Do something. Fire anybody. Don't fire like real employees of the Delta Center and like real coaching staff. But yeah, fire those guys who wear suits behind the bench. They're not doing shit. One of them needs to go. I don't care which one.
All the dudes on the concourse who sell R&R barbecue, you're
out.
Gone.
You're gone.
You're gone.
You're done.
We need to make changes around here.
It's the lovely smells of the barbecue are affecting the team. Like the whistles in the stand.
It's all the fucking whistling.
It's all
the whistling.
They can't handle the smells. But
I don't know. We went on our first winning streak longer than 2 games with the whistles, and then the players came out and said, hey, please stop whistling because it's distracting, and we lost. So maybe the whistles, like maybe whatever it's distracting them from is helping. Bring back the whistles.
Here's what I would say. If it impacted our players, you have to imagine it did its intended purpose and impacted the visiting players, right? Like otherwise, Keller and Krause, you just became the softest players in the NHL if only you guys were impacted by it. So the fans out there, whistle, don't whistle. I really don't care. You paid for your tickets. Like, as long as you're not hurling out racial slurs, like, go have fun, right? Like, those lower bowl tickets are not cheap. So if you want to whistle for paying $200 to get into the Delta Center, by all means, whistle. But you know what? One thing I want to talk about, one thing we didn't get a chance to because we recorded before it was announced. We have another Olympian on the team. JJ Peterka was announced to play for Team Germany. And Ryan, you brought it up that Russia's not allowed to play in the Olympics, but I think we can maybe all agree Sergachev would likely be on the... So should we count him as an Olympian?
Yeah, he probably would have got on there. I can't imagine there's too many KHL defensemen better than him. And everybody knows, like, once you get to an Olympic team, you turn it on. Like Keller basically has doubled his points per game since being named as an Olympian. You just get better when that happens. And maybe if somebody just tells Sergachev, hey, buddy, you made Team Russia in spirit, maybe he'll step it up. I don't know.
JJ just knows that he's going to play meaningful minutes for Germany, so he doesn't need to prove it. Keller needs to prove that he belongs on the non-scratched roster. So by all means, Keller, keep having an insane year. But that's just about all the time we have. What a great time talking to you guys tonight. Do you have any closing thoughts before we get on out of here?
We won't break it down because we didn't talk about it. I'm just going to make an executive decision. Nick Schmaltz of the Week award winner, Nick fucking Schmaltz.
Yes, 4 in a row. Well, not 4 in a row, but 4 time. Four
time. He was the best player on the ice in the Blues game, and then even against Columbus. Like Columbus had a power play where Nick Schmaltz kind of like he saw a drop pass coming and he took the puck down to our zone, held on to it, and then made another play to keep, as he was heading to the bench, to keep them from entering into it. He killed off like 30 seconds of that power play all by him damn self. So yeah, Nick Schmaltz is your Nick Schmaltz of the Week winner. The other thing that I had to say, sometimes I just be farting.
Very nice.
That's a nice Christmas gift right there. I'm gonna have another shirt to show off next week.
Ryan, your thoughts?
2-1 is the minimum I will accept on this homestand, and that is my final arguments.
I think 2-1 is attainable. I think the Maple Leafs are very beatable. Dallas is a beatable team. We've shown that we can compete with them, and Seattle is a must win. Seattle is an absolute 100% must win. You got to beat Seattle. If you don't do anything, you got to beat Seattle. So that's the message in the locker room. You got to beat Seattle, and you hope to beat Dallas, and you can beat the Maple Leafs. It's as simple as that, Turney. That's how you coach. Just tell them, hey, guys, score goals, win games. It's that simple. It's that simple. Everyone out there, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. We've enjoyed being here in the studio. We love talking to you guys, and we look forward to talking more with you guys. Go out there if you're not already got tickets. Go get there at the Delta Center. Cheer on your guys. 3 big home games coming up. Then the 4th one against Philly. But we'll talk to you before that one to recap how we did on these 3 games. I'm Randon for Dustin and Ryan. Everybody, have a great night.